Can I have your number? This was not right. I'm just telling you to educate you for future because there's nothing's happening with us.
I think vulnerability is cool.
I'm not 21. I don't have time for this.
How to confirm you're exclusive?
What's your
Put a ring on it. Hello and welcome back to 3am Confessions. Today we're super excited because we opened up the floor to you, our viewers, to submit the burning questions that you might be too afraid to ask people in your own life. So we're gonna get raw, real, unfiltered, and super honest today. Welcome, girlies.
Thank you.
So I have all the questions. So yeah, let's dive in. Do you actually like it when a man approaches you with the intention of asking you on a date?
I'll take this one first. My short and long answer is yes. I want a man who has confidence, who can come up to me in a public setting, even if we don't necessarily know each other. I find that really attractive.
The only thing I'll add in the long answer there is the manner in which they approach and the context.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't think of examples off the top of my head, but some settings might be a little creepy.
A funeral.
Yes, I was thinking exactly that. I was like,
can I have your number?
I'm like, for what? Condolences. What about you?
My answer is the same.
Okay.
Like there are some places, so if you go to a club, if you go to a bar, it's fine if a man comes and approaches you. I was sitting in Taco Bell once and this random person just came up to me and asked me if he can have my number. And I thought that wasn't like okay because I'm
Taco
eating
Bell is
with a
not a
friend.
setting, I guess.
Yeah. Like when I go to the mall, like I'm not dressed up, I'm not like I haven't done my makeup, so I don't want any man to like even look at me.
But wouldn't you be a little like flattered if he finds you beautiful in your like No.
I'm in Taco Bell, I'm eating. Like I literally have like a taco and I have like tomatoes and onions coming out of my mouth. So I don't want to be approached like that.
Fair enough.
But I would say, yeah, as a general rule of thumb, I think it's a good idea if you see someone and really like them and you think that the context is right and the vibe is right. It's a really attractive quality to me because it's also reflective of general confidence and general security and outgoingness, which is a quality that I prize.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I think when someone is really meek and really shy and hesitant, I feel that, it's also okay for the girl to make the first move sometimes.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
So anyway, but that might lead us into a different question.
So our second question is, how soon do you know if you're interested in someone as a woman?
Depends on where I met them. Like if it's a dating app, answer is very different. If it's through friends, I would be a little more cautious about it because then there's a mutual friend group, there's friends involved. On a dating app, I would look at different things. Maybe their presentation, how their profile looks like, or how their, looks play a part over there, how they're talking to me. And all of that put together in general, if the vibe is nice, I would be interested. You'll know if I'm interested if I'm making any sort of effort to talk to you. And I think that's true for any person.
I think for me it's like 3 to 4 dates. And I want to see them in like different contexts. I will like go out for a drive with them, go out for dinner, maybe like a picnic, and just like see them in different contexts. And then I can tell.
So when you say interested, you mean to date?
Yeah.
That my threshold is not that low, yeah.
Okay.
And you look okay and I will date. No, I'm kidding. I just meant like I'll be interested to pursue where it's going.
Yeah. That's all.
I think for me, I definitely take my time. And it happened recently where I sort of met someone through an app and the first meeting was like quite underwhelming. I was super not into it. Like I walked away being like, I'd be okay if I never met this person again. And then I was like, okay, well, I invested this amount of time, so why don't I give him one last chance? And I even remember telling you, I was like, it's going to be the last time today I'm going to meet him. And like, if he doesn't turn things around, in my view, then it'll be a no-go. And it was funny, like he didn't plan anything. He didn't make any reservation. He texted me at 8:00, hey, are we still on? Which was, actually I had to text him like, are we still on? Because he didn't even follow up. So I was already like, it's not happening. And then I show up and I first of all told him this feedback straight away. I was like, this was not right. I'm just telling you to educate you for future because there's nothing's happening with us.
It's very nice of you to communicate.
It's like, let me do a small good deed for womankind. But it was so interesting because that day we went on a date and it was so good. And I, at the end of the date, was like having butterflies for this person. And I was like, whoa, that's
they really
crazy.
Turned it around.
Like he did turn it around. And I feel that I'm good at keeping an open mind and giving a little bit more room to like let something grow. I've always like sort of done that. It'll be like an engagement where like maybe at first glance they're not like beautifully attractive or anything, right? I mean, like some basics are covered, but like how they make me feel, how they treat me with respect in that situation can help me grow feelings. So I think, yeah, I mean, how long I take depends on how many times I see them, obviously, but I would say like I would agree, like 4 to 5 times I might really start crushing on you, or after the 4th or 5th time, if I'm not crushing on you, then it's not really a good use of either of our time. Also, good rule of thumb is to like see them in the daytime, because that same person no, it was like a really late dinner, right? Like we had dinner at like 9:30 or something that day when I got butterflies, and I was like, wow. And then we went to lunch, and I told you about this. This was in the day, and I was like, okay, cool, well, like I'll see him in sunshine, right? And that might just change everything for you, like seeing them late at night on dim lighting versus at a brunch, shows up in like slides and like shorts and t-shirts, etc. The point is, my perspective again shifted when I saw him in the daytime. I was like, okay, new data, new information is coming in, and then
how open-minded you were, right? Like you're like, I'm gonna give him a chance, and you really truly gave him a chance.
I think you can't really judge somebody on the first date.
Yes.
And you're so nervous, he's so nervous.
True.
The first impression may not be the last impression.
And I also think as women, we grow feelings through your actions, like through observing your actions. Whereas I think men do have a different way of assessing whether they like you or not. And they probably take less time.
Yeah, moving on. So do you admire a guy after he chooses to be vulnerable in front of you, or do you see it as a weakness?
What's your answer to this?
I think vulnerability is cool. Like, I really appreciate somebody if they, again, like, bear it all. They may not give you that. If they are vulnerable with me. And then, like, what is being vulnerable?
I would define it as opening up about one's more personal challenges, maybe one's insecurities, or maybe one's past experiences that have been negative, right? And being vulnerable is also like giving someone else you know, like and also the power, like when you open up and you share something with someone, you also give that person the power to like hurt you, right? So it's about giving them the power to hurt you and trusting that they won't hurt you, if that makes sense.
I think it also includes being honest about how they feel about you and not taking you for it, in addition to all of what you said. So I also appreciate it if someone's not playing hard to get. I'm too old for that shit. I'm not 21. I don't have time for this. Like, just, it's nice when a man owns up to, I like you and I want to take you out on a date and I want to see where this goes. So I that was one thing I absolutely loved about my current partner when we started dating. He was refreshingly vulnerable, yes, but honest. Yeah, vulnerability is honesty. So he did all of those things, and he also he didn't shy away from expressing in his own way that he was interested in me and how he felt about me. So I found that very endearing, because when we were younger, I think people just are more scared of rejection. So people don't want to share how they feel. And that whole playing hard to get just gets very boring after a point.
I also think you can't have a deep, like, meaningful relationship if you're not vulnerable with the person you're with.
Absolutely. So the answer all three of us concur is that vulnerability is cool. It's sexy.
It is. I was just going to add that I think as a woman, like, who is also like a very emotional person, the times that I felt most connected to my partner has always been, you know, when they let their walls down a little bit and even, you know, sought my help in something they might be struggling with. So, you know, not always trying to be the strong provider, nothing can faze me, but being like, you know, honestly, I'm really struggling with this thing, or like I feel scared, or I feel really hurt by something that happened today. I feel that growing up, sometimes men, or in society, we condition young men to put up a strong front all the time and to project, you know, stoicism, I guess, or just like being unbothered by stuff.
Yeah.
And as someone who myself is very emotional, when I see my partner doing that, it really endears me to them and it makes me feel a lot of affection towards them. Not in a patronizing way that like, oh, baby, but like in a, wow, like this person really trusts me to be sharing this in a world that otherwise does not allow men to like share these things with people. So it's a big yes. I've never seen it as a weakness. I've always found a lot of courage and vulnerability. It's really scary, and you'll find the people who are the least vulnerable are also the ones who are the most scared, right? Like to open up. So
My only word of caution there is timing. Don't be vulnerable on the first date, right? Like
I was gonna say the same thing, but I was like, is that too like politically incorrect?
I don't want to hear about your childhood trauma on the first date, right?
Absolutely.
Like, chill. I'm not your therapist.
I agree with that. But that's also harmful in the sense of like, there's this whole concept of like trauma dumping, right? Like,
Exactly what
vulnerability as a proxy for closeness,
Yes.
right? That, if I tell you all my life's trauma and like whole life story, then automatically I feel closeness with you because I've told you this information. But that doesn't actually mean that we're compatible, that we're good to be
Right.
together. But since we've trauma bonded, we've both puked out or like word vomited everything that we've ever thought, now we feel close. And like that's a dangerous territory, I would say.
And it can also be for people who don't want to be receptive to that vulnerability. It could be a little like overwhelming. Yeah. Couple of dates is fine. Just don't do it on the first date.
Because I have been in that situation. This was when I was in college. So this guy, he just told me like how his sister has depression, and it was just too much for me to take. Like I
On the
barely
first date.
on the first day, like I barely know this guy.
Not in his defense, I don't think he wanted to go on a date with you. I think he just really
Therapy.
Wanted to
talk to someone, and that was his. Yeah, no, that vulnerability on a first date is a
Right.
no.
It's important to differentiate why you're there with that person. Are you there to get to know them, or are you there because you just want someone to talk to, and then you can pay someone to do that, like a therapist?
Next question is, what is the best way to ask you out on a date? I think it's going to be different for everybody.
Like ideal case scenario. I got asked out once on a Zoom chat. I would not recommend that. Like in a meeting, no.
And maybe
Don't text
just
me.
imagine if it wasn't directed to Chandra and it was
Everyone.
to all. Do you want to go for dinner at 8 p.m. and the whole team said, cool.
Yeah, so that's not advisable. Ideal way to get asked out in person.
Is it? Anyway.
Oh, best is when you have a sort of date and time in your mind. You have options. You're flexible, but you are prepared. Also, I would like some more effort. Like, go to a nicer restaurant in the beginning just to invest a little bit more effort. I quite like that. And direct and state your intentions. This is a date, right? Like, let's not be in this confused zone of whether we're just hanging or friends or getting a coffee. Like,
Yeah.
this is a date. I am interested in you, and I will pick you up at 8.
I love that. She
dress
just said
nice.
everything I
Yeah.
would want. Yeah.
Same.
Love it. Guys, we have a template.
Should we be like, hey, do you want to go out?
Yeah, or not like a very cash. Oh, I'm hanging. You want to join? No.
No group. Avoid groups.
If it's a date, then
No.
Try not to, and give notice. Few days, maybe a week.
And show
Let that-
interest, like you said, effort and interest. Give 3 options. Maybe, okay, another thing which I really like is like, maybe I mentioned I love Asian at an earlier point in the conversation. So throw that in there. Again, something my boyfriend did. He did like say, oh, you like Asian, this is a nice, and I'm like,
Remember.
so yeah,
And
just
listen.
small, yes, effort and listen and all of that.
So what do women check out in men? What's the first thing you notice?
If it's in person, then the first thing I notice is the way you carry yourself. Just overall, it's not just appearance, it's about how you talk, how you're approaching me. And if you approached me, then that's in itself like, okay, I like the confidence, I like it. And then what you say. Now, you may look all confident, then you open your mouth and you're creepy. But what does creepy even mean, right? Like, you can't just straight up come and like say weird stuff. Just be smooth is again very vague. I'm trying to be little more prescriptive about
smooth,
this.
you guys.
Yeah, just be smooth. So yeah, in person, I generally see the way a person carries themselves more than even looks, appearance.
When you're texting, what about that?
Now that's interesting because again, if I met someone through a friend, then all the physical, meeting things apply. But through an app, I would again the same principles but on text. How do you talk to me? How much interest do you show? If I don't reply for 4 hours, do you triple text me? Don't. That's not a prescription. Don't do that. Do you start saying good morning the first day we start talking? Don't. Again, the very first thing I would see would be like presentation of the profile. How they type, how they choose to describe themselves in the bio, what pictures they decide to put, what information they choose to. It's marketing, right? Like when you put a blurb about yourself, it's how you choose to describe yourself as a first impression. Yeah.
Personal branding.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. It's very easy digitally actually. Much harder in person.
True.
What about you?
I first notice in person someone's stature. That combines things that you can and cannot control. I do notice someone's height and someone's build, you know, broad shoulders, tall, more that type. I think appearance is one of the first things you notice about a person.
Yeah.
Secondly, I notice someone's smile. I really like men smiles, you know, like I find that very attractive. And if they smile and if they're very generous about, you know, being happy and warm, I really like that. And then I notice how they're dressed also. That is in your control, right? I think just being put together, no matter what context you're in, right? Like there's no reason why you have to be out of your house looking sloppy in like a ripped shirt or like basketball shorts and slides. But looking polished and put together and trimmed and groomed and generally upkept.
Yeah.
So the next question is, why do women expect men to take the lead, especially in initial days?
I mean, I don't expect that.
But
I do expect some enthusiasm, but I don't expect you to take the lead all the time.
But didn't we just get done discussing how we would prefer if you took the lead?
No, I meant like show enthusiasm, show... I am also happy to suggest a date plan.
Yeah.
But then how do you respond to that? I'm like, hey, you free on Friday? And then you can do all the enthusiasm.
Right.
Taking the lead is also suggesting. I don't expect you to always text me first, to always initiate, you know, plans to meet or whatever. But I would like enthusiasm. I would like initiative. But maybe you guys have different views here, so tell me.
Like it's really sexy when a man really shows effort. And that's how you know they're interested. Like if you don't know they're interested, like I personally wouldn't want to invest my time there.
Absolutely.
So I want to be 100% sure that you're interested, you're invested, and then I'll think about it.
Why them first? Why can't you also show it? I'm not at all countering that. I agree, enthusiasm is needed. But why do they have to do the first showing of interest? Why can't you say, I'm interested in you? La la la. You said, no, it's not happening. But I'm just trying to understand why we expect it as women.
It's a nuanced question. I think there is evolutionary basis in it, as there quite often always is in social dynamics. And I just think that the stakes are higher for women, right? Like when we take the lead, we have to know that we really, really want that person and we're super, you know, interested in them. And that can't always be the case so early on.
I can think of one other reason, which is that in the past 100 years, not in the last 50 maybe, when women became more independent, educated, all of that, I think the whole concept was that a woman is courted by a man. The man takes her out. You know, I'm imagining like a lady in Victorian times, you know. I'm thinking maybe that's where the conditioning came. But I think it may be a little difficult in the modern age to put the same in this context. But then we're all still behaving, I guess, in the way we did for 500 years. I mean, if you think about it in an arranged marriage setting, who goes to see is it the guy or the girl? I'm actually asking. पहली बार घर किसके जाते हैं? Is the man coming to see?
I think the girl goes.
No, I think ulta hota hai. I think the man comes to the woman's house.
Oh, okay.
Because I think again,
that's
the tradition that the man's family will come and convince you to. Of course, it's just tradition. But I think it came from that perspective that हम आपकी बेटी देखने आ रहे हैं.
I do want to interrogate this and challenge this question in general. That I think it's probably true that a lot of women do expect this, but I would love for us to move towards a world in which that's not the expectation. I think at this point, with women being so independent and so much more empowered than we used to be, I think we should absolutely like switch the narrative and embrace the fact that either one can take the lead.
Yeah.
Both can sort of be very proactive, and that can lead to a really healthy, equal dynamic between two individuals. So I think we should go in that direction.
Why do you choose the ones who you know aren't the best for you and sideline the ones who are?
I don't know. I'm sorry. Like, I don't think this is a common... I'm sure that happened to someone. That's why they asked this question. But I don't do that. I'm sure you guys don't either. You can answer for yourself.
I saw on Instagram somewhere, someone said that you can tell how much someone loves themselves based on the partner that they choose. And I often think that people select partners based on their own perception of their own worth and value and self-respect, right? So if it is that you observe someone choosing a partner who from the outside it looks like they're wrong for them, it could be that that person is dealing with some inner work that they still need to do to build up their sense of self and sense of self-worth. So that could be an explanation, right? Like sometimes people pick people who they know they're wrong for them because that's what they feel they deserve.
That's a very beautiful answer. Yeah.
So the more that you love yourself, the more likely you are to attract and choose partners who love you to the same extent that you love yourself. And if you struggle to love yourself at all, then you might be okay to settle for people who don't deserve you because you just think that's all you deserve. And so that's a self journey that you can go on. And if someone is on that journey, then best to leave them to that journey and not try to like force them to be with you if they're not ready to be with you yet. And if someone's not ready to accept the love that you're ready to give them, then you should let them be, right? Like don't try to chase after them and force your love on them because sometimes they're just not ready.
The completely different perspective I could give on this question is that maybe you think you're interested and they're sidelining you, but you're just being creepy. Maybe you're just, again, creepy is a bad way of putting it.
Maybe they just don't like you.
Yeah, maybe they just don't like you and you have shown all your interest, and maybe the other person, see, there could be anything. Maybe the other person hasn't communicated that to you. Or maybe they have and you're not willing to listen. So it could be anything.
Yeah.
The spectrum could go from you being very sincere and what Chandra said, that about them, the other person having to do their inner work and not ready to accept your love, because that makes a lot of sense. But then the other extreme, maybe you're the problem. So anyone could be the problem.
How do you know what's the best for them?
Exactly. That's a little bit of an entitled question to ask.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
oh, she's choosing wrong for her. How do you know what's
And sideline the best one. Okay, because the way the question was phrased.
Yeah, just about rejection in general. I think we should have a whole nother episode just talking about that. But honestly, it's for the best for everyone involved. If someone's not interested, get out, fail fast, move on quickly. Better to not waste your time. Rejection is redirection.
How to confirm you're exclusive?
What's your
Put a
answer?
ring on it.
Sure. You have your answer, guys.
That's how you know you're exclusive.
Yeah, but like any word of advice? I think it's
Ask
just
them.
it's open communication.
I know.
Like don't assume things.
I agree.
You should assume that you're not exclusive until it is explicitly stated that you are.
100%.
Like that's a safe assumption.
As a default.
Even if you're not seeing other people, just assume they are until you straight up ask them.
Right.
And what's a good time frame?
Really depends on where you are in your relationship. There's no standard template that in 1 week or 3 months or 1 year. If you had you're taking it slow, then maybe a couple of dates. But if you feel like the connection is there sooner, then why not?
Yeah.
Maybe after 2 dates, I feel like I don't want to see anyone but him.
Right.
That's fine.
Like, even if you're going out on multiple dates together, it could be that the person just wants somebody to have dinner with.
Time pass.
Or they just want company.
True. Yes.
They enjoy your company, but it does
Yeah.
not mean that they want to be with you. So just communicate.
Agreed.
And that's also where you need to assess for intentionality in the beginning. Even in the first date, having the conversation of, am I looking to get into a relationship?
Yeah.
Down the line, now, soon.
Yeah.
That'll really help. Because if you're just looking for company, then you might as well establish that at the beginning.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Or you go to a platform which filters the intention for you. I wonder which one.
I don't think it exists. Until now.
All right. I guess, at least I've always been upfront. I think I mentioned it in one of the earlier videos that I have been in situationships in the past, and I learned that I want to save my time. And I get it, in the beginning, having right in the first date might be a little daunting. That, are we exclusive? Or where is this going? I want this. I get it. But after a certain point, whenever that point is right for you, actually sitting down and just being very open and say, hey, I thought I'll be upfront with you. I like you. And more than a friend. And I would like to explore where this is going. How do you feel about that? And usually most people know what that means. If I'm saying that, it means exclusivity. But if you want, you can add that, garnish on top and explicitly also clarify that. And this can be done by either people. Usually both people are, ideally you should be on the same page through actions. But it's always good to clarify after a certain point. And that's where, again, like Priyanka, you said, good communication, better communication, that really helps.
Yeah, because I've learned it the hard way. Like I've been in situations where like I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to this person, but like they just assume that okay, we're together now. Now you can't like meet other people. Like that wasn't communicated ever. We did not talk about being exclusive. We did not talk about like our intentions. It was
Agreed.
just assumed, and then in the end, like they end up getting hurt, and that's not a good situation to be in for either party.
Agreed. It might not be really, because it takes a lot of courage to say that, because the answer could very well be, what? I thought we were friends. I love having dinner with you. It is what it is. It's like out, and like Chandra, you said, rejection. What did you say right before?
Rejection is redirection.
Exactly. So I'd rather have that sooner rather than later. I'd rather not be delusional for longer and have my heart broken even more a few weeks or months later.
You'd be surprised at how far honesty would take you. Like honesty and open communication. Like it'll really help protect your heart.
Yeah.
In fact, I had someone I met off an app a few years ago who just told me straight up that I'm looking for something serious, and I'm like, okay, that's refreshing. Me too. But he's like, marriage serious in the next 2 years, and at that point, that wasn't something I wanted, and we got that out of the way. I enjoyed his company, and likewise. But we were very clear that we're not on the same page about what we want out of that. So it was very refreshing, and on like the second conversation, it was out of the way. It's good. It's easy.
How does a well-meaning guy know if you're looking for something serious or not?
Wow. Flows so well from our last answer.
Yeah. Communicate. No, answer is the same, right? Like you let it flow and then eventually just have a conversation about it. Open communication. Is there any other thing you can add to this, guys?
I think, one perspective I want to bring is that sometimes people aren't necessarily clear on their own intentions. Sometimes people themselves are confused. So that is a treacherous situation for you when someone might claim to be intentional but may not necessarily know what that means or may not actually feel that way. And that's really scary. So I don't know if you can do that much about it, but just pay attention to their actions and their consistency and whether they express, like they are continuing to align with your definition of intentional. Yeah, it's a scary world out there. So you being your authentic, honest self and constantly, stating where you're at and expect the same reciprocation and the same level of investment from that person. And if you feel that you're being misled or if you feel that person is not in the same place that you are through their actions, not necessarily just their words ki haan bhai, yes I am very intentional, haan bilkul, but fir saath mein they're just not giving it the same energy that you are. Everyone's definition is also different of being in a relationship, right? And you do want that reciprocation.
Agreed.
You deserve that, actually. So observe actions even more so than words, and those two should really align in all cases. It's a sign of integrity, and we want those things in our partners.
Couldn't have answered it better.
Beautiful answer.
Thank you for submitting your really interesting questions. We will do more episodes of these. We'd love to know the questions that women have for men that they're too afraid to ask, and we'll be back with some more spicy and thought-provoking answers soon.